Radio. You are tuned in to Context Matters. Welcome to Context Matters. The date is November 2024, and I'm so happy that you joined us on Ray Global Radio. If you are on the TikTok, big up to everybody on the TikTok. Shout out to everybody, even the disrespectful ones who want to come on the live and act a fool. But as you know, people who was gone to November is always over, and the best month of the year is December. We are entering the Sagittarius type of vibe, and you know that vibe is live. So, to all my people that's jumping around like mosquitoes and bullfrogs, big up yourself. So, just in case you never know, all my peoples on YouTube, big up, blessings, much love, thanks, happy that you could join. And we are going to be talking about education versus smoking. There's a reason why we're talking about that. You see, there are misguided individuals who could be from life experiences thought it fit to bring advancing Afro-Jamaicans and place them back into post-slavery days when the Vagrancy Act was designed to turn ordinary citizens into criminals. Simple, especially in the state of Jamaica, where currently, as I speak, the government is producing lists with names of citizens, and on that list, they put persons as violence contributors. Now, I can tell you, as an attorney at law, that that is not a legal term. There's no basis in law for you to put on a form violence contributors and see it necessary to categorize and class people like that. So when one thinks of the messaging to young people, especially, and I can tell you, it is a overwhelming feat to be able to overcome incarceration, the stigma of being a drug user, a drug abuser, a drug dealer, anything concerning narcotics. If you're in the United States, the federal law would be 841A, 841B, 841C, which is the categories or class of drugs from crack to cocaine, heroin, and marijuana. The results of marijuana possession, especially if you're notwithstanding, what people don't understand is this. In Jamaica, as I'm speaking to you, marijuana has not been legalized. For many years, your forefathers, or should I say your grandfathers, especially out of Jamaica, especially during the time of a famous gang known as the Shower Posse, they were known for participating in the drug trade with marijuana, and the United States, with the war on drugs, used to send them away for many years for marijuana possession in large quantities, of course, 841C, and they would get 30 years, 40 years, and of course, when it came time for the rich people and the white persons to deal in marijuana after many years of Jamaicans being put to prison for it, it became a corporation, and then it was placed in the hands of the rich. And while in the hands of the rich, here's what happened. They issue license, and of course, Canada exports all over the world, export some of the most biggest names, Bill Gates, the Marleys, whoever, they have proper license to deal in the narcotics known as marijuana, weed. So to educate and to put into context, the studies in relation to the use of marijuana, which is a gateway drugs, kind of shows that it either enhance, slows down, inhibit the performance in relation to education. Now, why is this important? Well, in Jamaica, as I said earlier, it is decriminalized. Somebody's saying I should check on my YouTube. Um, hmm, I don't know what I'm checking for. What should I be checking for? Is it that the YouTube is not working or something like that? All right, let's try this. All right. Let me know if that's better. I don't know. All right, yeah. So, all right, blessings, blessings. Yeah. So hopefully that has been resolved. I broke my stride just now. I don't know why is it I don't know why it's saying that. Oh, I see. Um yeah, I don't know. I got to check on that because I don't know why it's saying that. Um yeah. Let me try this. All right. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Yeah. Um yeah. So and it says something about notification bell disabled, all kind of stuff. That's technical support that I can't deal with right now. So yeah, I was saying the importance of that is understanding that there is decriminalization. It simply means that while it is that decriminalization means that for being found in possession of a certain quantity, you might not be charged for it. Smoking in public still remains a arrestable offense. If an officer wishes to not exercise his discretion, he can rightfully lock you up and charge you and bring you before the court. Why is this important? So, at no time, and this is for the youth, children, should you be found rubbing out your hand middle on any corner, um, before school, after school, whatever it is. In fact, the idea of decriminalization is so that persons can go to places such as Epicon. Um, there are other places, I don't know them, but I'm not promoting any of them. I'm not being paid for that. But there are places where you clearly can go to these places and smoking control environment with marijuana that is licensed, persons who are licensed to distribute that to the public. So if this is the case, it would mean that there is no authority for somebody to advise that you are to rub out your hand middle. Certainly, it is the reason why we're now speaking about um, education versus yeah, it's no reason why you have to go to or think about education versus smoking. And there's a learning behind it that we have to hold on. Yeah, there's a learning behind it that we obviously would have to be able to have the conversation with or have a talk about that aspect of it. And in doing that, the starting point is to know whether or not education is something valuable. Well, they say silver and gold, um, Right. So they'll say that if silver and gold will vanish away, but a good education will never decay. Now, if that saying is true, it means that there must be some promotion of any sort, um, of education, and in finding the support for education, what one will find instantaneous, is that um, it would mean you definitely would be in a situation to access education, and you want to have the best education. Now, in order to have the best education, it means you would have to be going to one of the conventional high schools, if that is the case. And if it's not a conventional high school, then we have more conversations about the quality of education that students are getting. What is important is that the journey to education, there are persons, um, thank you, Keisha. I'm gonna try to work on that during the break, as it is right now. But yeah, so for we can have a conversation or have arguments in relation to the quality of education that somebody gets, but the important thing is to embark on education. It is I'm submitting to the public, especially for this show, that that education is the great divider in a third world country. So notwithstanding what people tell you about economic growth and from promises to 5 in 4 or 4 in 4 in 5, whatever lies they told then, and in at the 11th hour, there is no conversations about economic growth that turns to the people, and people are lauding it, and they coined the term aspire, which inspired my topic for today: aspire to pivot. And I'm going to define these acronyms, because learning is fundamental, and people like to use acronyms to assist in getting people, like sparks and you know prosperity. The prosperity run left everybody. But what is important is they even have aspire, and everybody's like, who's going to respond to aspire, and how this is go. But let me start the show, and let me also work out to the best of my ability the aspect of people be able to comment and be rude on the YouTube. Because without that, the show would be boring. So I have to let it up. I see they're trying it on the TikTok, but I'm not really reading it. So let me free up the the YouTube so people can come on and be rude. All right? So let's start the show. Context matters.
It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. No, I heard them say life much better you live it your own way.
Yeah, so now one has to know rely on working definitions. So um let's start generally with the YouTube aspect of it, right? Um on YouTube, if you're not sufficiently educated, you won't know how to maneuver it. So there's a whole learning on the platform itself as to how to sufficiently educate yourself to monetize your page and stuff like that. So education come in many forms. And as one thinks about or even begins to process education, then one certainly would find themselves in a situation where they how would I'm trying to put this in a way that is that makes sense. Yeah. So what one would have to do is then try to, as best as they can, find out the form of education. So there's formal learning and there's informal. This is like breaking news. You can be educated through TikTok. You can be educated through technology. You can be educated through Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. In fact, if you look at social media pages and you can be educated on Twitter and Black Twitter, or is it X, or whatever they call it. So there are different ways that you can find yourself. There are different ways that you can find yourself getting an education. So if we are to believe in that or try to, so if we're to believe in the forms of education and try to find a way to educate people or to do the necessary or have the necessary understanding, then the first thing that you have to do is to identify the type of education, whether it be formal or informal. Now, to process that properly, then hold on, persons are to process that properly, then naturally you would see instantly the best way to go about doing something is to hold on. Yeah. The best way to go about that is to define the education or make use of the content as well as the context of the education that you purporting to say you get. So let's think about it. You have preschool, then you have education at the primary level, then you have education at the tertiary level. Whichever level that it is, then one can appreciate automatically that the level of education will determine where the person is at. So if for instance, if the person is not, for instance, informal education is difficult to quantify, even though you can test for it, the level of education that the person will have this time around. Good? Now, if that is the case, or if one believes that what I'm saying make any sense, then it would only follow, and rightfully so, that the persons who understand education would only refer to it in a formal setting. But then we do understand that people learn differently. People understand education to mean something different from the other thing. Here's what I mean. And I don't want people to be lost in translation. I have made an effort to fix the thing about the post. Somebody would have to tell me if it was updated. I did try to the best of my ability. But anyway, notwithstanding, if we think about education, right, or educate, it's give intellectual, moral, and social instructions to someone, typically at a school or a university. So it says she was educated at a boarding school. Kind of like if you were educated at the Hamptons or Knox or Monroe, those are the usual boarding schools in Jamaica. Now, if okay, are people able to now comment? Yeah, I see people say present. Yeah. Look like it free up. Kate, welcome. You see, that was a bit distracting and it took me some time, but we here now. We here now. So apologizing to the people from on Reggae Global Radio and TikTok. Yeah, anyway, so that's how we define educate. Now, education, the meaning of education is a process of receiving or giving systematic instructions, especially at a school or university, a course of education, which is like teaching, schooling, tutoring, instruction. These things are important. So there is a correlation between education and smoking, literally. Yeah. And it's important because also there's something called cessation and it's the rate. So the relationship between education and smoking cessation is complex and not fully understood, but some studies suggest that higher education is associated with smoking cessation. Now, people with higher education, individuals with higher education are more likely to quit smoking. So it's about quitting smoking. And now, when we're talking about smoking, we're not even gone into the drugs yet. We're just talking about smoking tobacco and the correlation between education and smoking. So there is a strong association between education and smoking, with people with lower levels of education being more likely to smoke. So if we think about smoking initiation, people with less education are more likely to start smoking at a younger age. So, for example, women with less than a high school education start smoking on average 15 months earlier than college graduates. So one has to look at that and process to say, hold on, if there is a relationship, what is the messaging to the young? So people with less education smoke more cigarettes per day. For example, women who have not graduated from high school smokes on average 14.1 cigarettes per day compared to with 8.6 cigarettes from college graduates. Now, I want people to understand that I am not here to say that if you exercise your right to defile your body and smoke, it's a matter for you. I'm strong on the Constitution, and I believe that the freedom to do what you want to do is always going to be yours. It's a different conversation when it comes to children. It's a different conversation when it comes to children at the school level and in terms of how they get how, especially when they're impressionable. Peer pressure is a good place to start when it comes to how people follow their peers and get into what is known as the gateway drugs, which is marijuana. Smoking frequency, here's another fact, is that people with less education smoke more cigarettes a day. People with less education are less likely to quit smoking. Now, prevalence in smoking disparities by education have increased by birth cohort. So, in recent cohorts, initiation probabilities were highest among individuals with ninth, and 11th grade education, and lowest among individuals with at least a college degree. So, the more you're educated is the less likely you're going to want to smoke, unless smoking is a habit and smoking is a choice, and people want to exercise their right to defile their body. All right. Now, if one were to look at we just going from education, the gap in smoking rates between individual with the highest and lowest levels of education is greater than at any time in the past. So education differences in smoking were not observed prior to discovery that smoking causes death. However, following the 1964 Surgeon General's report and subsequent public health campaign, researchers established a large educational difference between those who do and do not smoke. So in the United States, for example, the annual decline in smoking prevalence between 1974 and 1985 in the National Health Interview Survey was approximately 5 times higher among the most educated than among the least educated. And we speak about the gap. Now, what this conversation is really about is when one looks at what is happening in Jamaica, especially with the rate at which young people pick up non-communicable diseases. We don't block anybody. This is a space where even uneducated people can bring themselves to the platform and be able to express themselves. Freedom of expression is paramount in Jamaica. It's a constitutional right. And because of that, certainly any platform and any space that I have, I allow people to express themselves because they want attention from me, Isaac Buchanan, because they don't get it else, because several reasons. The persons who they support think of them as lesser beings because of their race, class, and state status in society. Never at any point in your life think that when you come to this platform, you will get blocked. You're here to express yourself, and I can't make that any clearer. And nothing that you say can affect me, because words are just that. And as you learn and progress in trying to formulate words and express yourself, I'm here to help you in terms of whether it be the English language or the literature aspect of it, from personification, metaphors, hyperbole, and my favorite, sarcasm. So just be here and express yourself. And for those of you who are adamant in crying out for deodorant, as soon as I get a sponsorship for those who constantly showing that their arms are green, I will make every effort to dispatch free deodorant for all the green people who comes on my live to tell me that they need a shower. I promise you, it's important. It's so much that I have a green light up there just for you to identify when your hygiene is low. There was a story called The Wizard of Oz, when it just took, especially in Portland, where water is lacking, the Wicked Witch of the West and the East, all you had to do to destroy was to throw water on her because she didn't like to bathe. So I understand when people come to me, because I'm here to uplift and help persons with bad hygiene to become better. I'll even, if you like, just put in the comments and I will put an entire I'll dedicate an entire show to hygiene. And it's Christmas time. Big up the diaspora. When you're packing barrels, you issue the Irish Springs for those who are familiar with the green, that it's palatable for them to actually take a shower where water is provided. So let's deal with that. So and for those, there is Partner Draw TV. I hear that shower and shower gels and all the toiletries necessary is available coming this Christmas. So nobody has to go into the new year with bad hygiene. Bless upon yourself. Now that I've addressed that, let's get back to the education aspect of it. And please, moderators, allow persons with low aptitude to express themselves in any form that they wish. We are here to educate. That is why context matters. Critical thinking is paramount. All right? So continue. You're all welcome here. We're here to convert all persons who suffer from bad hygiene. Yes. So the crux of the matter is this. Educational attainment and cigarette smoking, there is actually a causal connection. So lower education is associated with a higher risk of smoking. Whether the association is causal has not been convincingly established. But the methods that they use is the association between education and lifetime smoking patterns in a birth cohort, and the results in the full sample of participants shows that regression analysis adjusting for multiple childhood factors, including socio-economic status, IQ, behavioral problems, and medical conditions, which indicated that the number of pack years smoked was higher among individuals with less than high school education rates than their counterparts. However, in the sibling fixed effects analysis, the rate was slightly different. Similarly, it adjusted models estimated in the full sample show that individuals with less than high school education had fewer short-term and long-term effects when they tried to quit. And usually when you have low aptitude, then you are not likely to smoke. The problem is that smoking is an addiction, right? And anytime people form habits, it means that you are going to need a supplier. So don't take it for granted that when one wakes up in the morning and they want rum and boom and whatever else, and they have to I find it pejorative to use the term rub out your handle, but your decision to smoke in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, on the corner, whatever it is indicative of taking you at a place called vagrancy. Now, vagrancy is we had vagrancy laws which were post slavery. So when slavery was abolished and the apprenticeship period came along and persons accepted that they were free and didn't have to work on the plantations anymore, the planter class were not too happy about that. And so they created laws like no loitering, and you can't, even though you can't wear sleeveless shirt, go certain place, you can't do this and that. The irony of it is we are at a time when we are saying we want to move away from the monarchy, but at the same time, systematically, there is a replacement. And I would have spoken about Animal Farm. And I always urge people to read Animal Farm. So one would wonder, and people can easily identify, and I have given to you all the story of the Wizard of Oz, and of course, Dorothy. Yeah, she was from Kansas. You're not in Kansas anymore. She got the ruby slippers from the good witch, but the wicked witch of the east, which was the green witch. They throw water on her and she disappear. She melt because she never liked to bathe, obviously, or she don't like water, or she don't like to give water, or whatever it is. However, in that story, what we can take from it is the importance of the moral of every story, and education assists with that. So when we think about Animal Farm, the irony is a situation where we have persons now saying, let's move away from the king. Let's move away from the monarchy rule, and let's separate from the white man and the this and the that. And then the irony of it all is, when the reasons for doing that is to say that the queen was running things and now her son, and it is a family affair, and they are royalty and the people are their subjects. So one wonders how it is that we are spending billions of taxpayers' money to make an attempt to rid ourselves of the monarchy in a superficial way by removing the labels, but replacing the monarchy with local persons who sometimes, especially in a third world country where education is paramount, does not even fit the bill. And so it has to be offensive when somebody says, and I am going to say it because it has to be said, when a parish like Portland is replaced to say Vaseland, where the superior class have the rule and their subjects are told publicly that no matter what they say, it belongs to that family and nobody can break up the monarchy that is Vaseland, is very telling of the book Animal Farm. So if one goes and read the book, it actually is indicative of the reality that you would want to replace the queen and in the name of the king in all his whiteness, to replace them with people who are not actually royalty, who encourages smoking to facilitate the regression from education and preventing Black people, Negroes of Jamaica, from accessing education, which is the sure way to escape poverty and the quality of education. One has to critically assess that and find out the dangers in that. What I am submitting is a reality that has to be addressed in a wholesome way for the protection of the citizens of the country. So in order to do so, we have to be properly educated in order to emancipate. Now, it's self-explanatory. The very people are angry, and I'm putting it this way: many persons are angry and upset at me for attaining quality education superior to many of the counterparts who are your representatives. Many of them are angry because they cannot figure out how it is that a son of Jamaica could slip through the cracks, find education, and find his way all the way to the Privy Council from education coming from what is known as the PNP quality education, the education allowed from Michael Manley. Many of the persons who wish to deprive you of education now benefited from the Michael Manley era. I mean, I'm an attorney at law who homegrown, educated at the University of the West Indies, Mona, the number one university, and the Norman Manley, yes, Michael Manley's father, Norman Manley Law School. And it is telling because it is the quality of education that is also going to be important. And if one wants to talk about it, you live what you learn. Nothing I'm saying can be debunked, or anybody can say what I'm saying is inaccurate. This is a conversation about the importance of education, and this is a conversation about how it is that smoking can interrupt the ability to achieve the things that you need to achieve. And don't get me wrong, there are persons who smoke Yeah, I stress it. Norman Manley Law School. Norman Manley would have been the cousin who actually had intellect. And notwithstanding, no disrespect to Bustamante, but BRED is is bread, and there is a story. I wasn't around where he said when somebody say you miss out the A and he says, yeah, put it at the end, breader. Um, so I am not in no way suggesting that education is a requirement for representation, because let me tell you something. Um, Believe me when I say this. The Representation of People's Act does not have education as a requirement. So that is important. Um, so what people must not do in their quest to misguide is to run afoul of the Constitution and run afoul of the legislation. See, somebody's now asking if Portia is educated. Well, I can say this: Portia Simpson Miller, the first female prime minister of Jamaica, if she wasn't educated in the beginning, she did get her education, and she is an accomplished individual, and nobody can take that away from her. And it is quite ironic that because of the color of her skin and because of her humble beginnings, Jamaica, and this is a historical fact, was very unkind to her because she was a black woman, and they tear her down. Similarly to how in the last election, um, a completely educated woman was rejected by the voting class because she's black. People have to put things into context and be realistic where it's concerned, and that is true because we have what is known as patriarchy and many other things I could say, but because I don't have to declare my hand, many persons curse me for this. I really do think that Donald Trump is a serious politician, and he is determined, and he drowns out the noise, and he gets what he wants done. And persons cursed him and call him a convict, and now they have to work with him, and they have to now run behind him because the education that he does have education, but he's also a wealthy man. What is ironic though, as people raise the Portia Simpson, is that she wasn't going around telling anybody to rub out their hand middle, and she was for the poor, and she did a lot for this country that nobody can deny her of that. And notwithstanding how anybody feels, it again is representation. Nobody is stopping anybody from, certainly I would never stop anybody from choosing who they want as their representative. So let me be absolutely clear. I would never say that someone is disqualified from running because of the not being educated or anything like that, because that would run afoul of the law. And unlike many of the persons who are in leadership right now who do not respect the Constitution and the law, I'm not one of them. If one respected the law, people in government and their counterparts would not make reference to a juvenile conviction that is expunged, but they do it. People would not go on a frolic of character assassination by ad hominem and speak of issues that are not facts. But you leave them because I believe in freedom of expression. But in an effort to circumvent the realities that education is the great divider, when one has to size up with the vicissitudes of lives and the complexities of the reality, is that Isaac Buchanan is a superior human because of his education and his abilities. No one can deny that. No one can size up with me. So when persons combine and put themselves together in an effort to circumvent the legislation and representation, I for one will say, when it comes to me, Isaac Buchanan, as a son of Jamaica, educated by Jamaicans, and I'm able to articulate and able to connect with the masses. I am the people's representative and I'm the champion of the poor. Nobody can deny me that. Nobody can deny the fact that when you go for your mulattoes and when you go for your your superior educated persons with the fairer skin that is not black and does and is not hated because I am a Rasta man, and you try to deny me that, and whether you want to, I tell you all the time, that's one of the reasons why I said it earlier this year. Sir P is integral to the culture of this society. He is needed, and one of the reasons why I rate him, and I said it all the time, he is the great gadfly on the internet and is important to the culture of Jamaica, because he also, whether it can be classified as miseducation, has the ability to educate people. Um, yeah, so why this is important? Well, I'm using the show to really make it clear that when one is assessing the needs of the people and addressing education, I'm talking to Jamaican, and I'm talking to the black people in Jamaica. I'm talking to poor people in Jamaica. And I'm going to say, if you are a farmer or a carpenter or a welder or a fisherman and you have your children, you must dream for them to be pilots, doctors, lawyers, businessmen, great women and men in terms of surgeons and astronauts and researchers that will liberate you. Life is a baton, and you're saying what you're here to do. You give it to the generations following, so that when you procreate and your kids move on, they don't have to reinvent the wheel. They don't have to rub out their handmill and then disgrace themselves and dehumanize themselves for a mere $5,000 because of that is the political way. And what one politician said recently, a bad mind because I give you a rather card and you're worthless, and the rest of you that bad minded me, I give you $5,000 on a box lunch. And if anybody think I'm lying, go and check your media. It was said. So there's no issue that the value of the vote in Jamaica is $5,000 on a box lunch for those who allegedly are addicted to rum and boom and rubbing out them hand middle. And if they have ambitions, they this is people would find themselves to disenfranchise themselves for $5,000, which is about 10 cents a day for 5 years, for those who are great at math. So there's an education aspect that when people put you in a place where you're dormant and you're addicted and you have addictions, you become a slave to your addiction and your habits, and you cannot move. And so you're stuck in the physiological needs, which is also a systematic form of patriarchy where you cannot get beyond your physiological needs. And that's food, clothes, and shelter. And food and clothes includes your habits, whether it be alcohol, whether it be marijuana use, whether it be cocaine use, whether it be fentanyl and Percocet and all the things that is makes up or combine drug addictions that can cause you to find yourself in the drug court. So we have to we have to think of the future of our country in anchoring it to education. Somebody asks, but isn't our education system state-owned and funded? Um, the public education system is state-owned, and public education is funded. But the irony of it, you see, is all right, let me give you an example. The bulk of my education came from Stella Maris Proprietary School. Stella Maris. It was so ironic because recently, it could have been this week or last week, there was a story, misinformation was put out on the school to say that it was robbed. And the person who responded to say that it was misinformation, that the teachers were robbed at gunpoint and that $1 million was taken away from the bursary. And a retraction was placed in the media by the same principal who was there when I was about 7, Sister Mary Joseph, that I wondered if it is that she had a child, and but then sisters are supposed to be nuns and nuns don't have children. That's a whole nother education thing. But it's a Catholic school and it's privately funded. And so there are schools such as Stella Maris, which is responsible for bringing out some of the greatest people in Jamaica, I being one of them. I can tell you, it can be the envy of many to have had the opportunity to go to Stella Maris Proprietary School. Also, those who were ever educated by, I don't know if anybody know Dr. I think it's Michael Abrahams, but his Father Abrahams, he used to have extra lessons, and I can tell you, makes a difference. That once you're rooted in that type of education, sky's the limit. You go to high school where you're going to no, self-aggrandizement is not an issue here. Giving facts about this is put it in context. Education, the quality of education is what is important. I'm promoting the Jamaican education system and the great men and women that came out of the education system. One here's somebody that's saying, I think too much of myself because I'm a proud black man who is educated. Mind you, if I were a dunce black man, they would be saying you're dunce like Portia and you're born the same day as Portia and you for go and go sit down because you can't construct a sentence. That is why we have context matters, because it is important that people understand that you are to be proud of your achievement. People will try to downplay you when you work hard, and people will discard your efforts because they think that you're black and you have all the things that is falls into the place of discrimination. A black man with Rastafarian is not supposed to be a competent attorney, and because he's prideful and arrogant. One has to. It is only someone who is uneducated, kind of like how persons dissatisfied of the great Portia Simpson Miller was very disrespectful to her. And right before our eyes, I saw this woman come into herself with education. And so while she was not the best and articulate person initially, she got there and she grew into a most erudite leader. No one can take that away from her. And there are many persons, Hillary Clinton, you want to join the list, Kamala Harris in the United States, that never reached to the heights of Portia, in terms of when one looks into the history books where she will be. But that is quite fine. But as I said, you're free to comment, because what will happen. Right. So she is so once again, that is the conversation, because now we have labor rights shouting and screaming that she was a dunce. But the irony is, the context of the conversation is that none of you can come on this platform and say that I am a dunce. And much respect to my mother, the Reverend Doctor that was worked for, Joan Porcius, an educated woman, a strong black woman, educated, and made sure her children wanted nothing in life. proud of that. A black woman. Yeah, no crossbreed, half breed, nothing. Strong black woman that nobody can look and call her dunce. And she ensured that her children went and got education. And that is what I'm saying. So for those of you who ironically, you won't get me to speak about any politician and their failures when it comes to education, but selective because of race, selective because of class. Because if anybody thinks that it is okay to be dunce because you're rich, you have it completely. You are completely misguided. The fulcrum of what I'm positing to people is that education is important for everybody. And if we are to progress and advance as a nation, we ought to be investing in educating our citizens, and especially this context matters is in defense of the youth of the nation. Many of you, I kudos to the lady that graduated from Heart Trust and the Heart at 76. Keisha, maybe you can tell me her name so I can big her up, because it's never too late to treat an old dog new tricks. It's never too late to enroll in a public speaking class so that you can articulate yourself, because you are a representative on the world stage. All right? One has to look at that and ensure that they have a full understanding of why these things are important. It starts there because in order for you to have vision without sounding like a tree card man and a liar and a con man in an effort to disenfranchise people, if you want to remove people out of abject poverty, remember, I have always made it clear, no matter how they have economic conversations, I've never seen one of the leaders in government get up, especially we had one of the most erudite minister of finance, and he hasn't said to Jamaica, look, you are aiming for the $600,000 a month so that you can be considered a living, functioning, independent human being on the world index. Nobody's saying that. But they are okay with persons struggling, and I learned last week about fry and the cost of fry and how it can feed a family with very minimal amount of nutrition. This why these things are important, because when you encourage young people to pick up habits that are very, 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 very expensive, it is very telling. And so I'm going to use my platform to say, you should reject wholeheartedly any reference on in any space, anything that can be adverse to learning and acquiring a good education for the people, young people. So some of you, I know that you miss your opportunity to be educated. So you want another person's child to miss opportunity to be educated. It's all, you know what Jamaica would be saying? If it is that my mother and father says it's okay for if you find yourself in a prison, because when you come out of prison you too can be a lawyer. You know how mad and absurd that is? Things have to be put in context. So when I see persons promoting what they would want for somebody else's kids, because they without saying that's what happens to my kids and they're okay, or that's what I want for my kids and my friends' kids, is very problematic, especially when the constituents who are listening and hearing, and the constituents is the citizens of Jamaica, young Jamaicans who are faced with peer pressure, um, to deal with trying to find a place in society. Because guess what? There are many young people who write me, send me messages every single day, overwhelming, who have also gotten some form of education and have not been able to land jobs, and have been and are living in constituencies where the place is barren because they don't have the jobs and they don't have the necessary places to make use of the quality of education that was given to them. You know, in America, they have affirmative action, so some black people can get through. And Donald Trump is saying he's to rid the system of that, because it's supposed to be equal opportunity. But one cannot deny the fact that guidance is what is needed to change the dynamics in terms of education. Most of you don't know, but there was a time when common entrance was the hardest thing to pass, and they changed the system to make it easier. Well, lo and behold, because Jamaica is a migrating country, when you could have been the dumbest child in the Jamaican education system. As you touch foreign, if you didn't have grade 2, you can shot to grade 5. Now, Picnic them have it rough. And so yesterday, met a young man whose mother works at the eyeglass place, the optical place. Big up for my glasses. My glasses tough and thing. And I can see clearly now, the blur is gone. Yeah. And I met the young man. He goes to KC, not going to call his name because he's a juvenile. And I said, oh, you should strive to be a lawyer. He said, sure. Pilot aviation and engineering is where my thing there. Confident. And I said, to be so young and know what you want to be, why am I seeing persons as young as you are, as young as you are, you know what you want, and why is it that other young people are so misguided? That is so disheartening. And so I have to literally give kudos to parents who take the time, who take the time to ensure that their children are definitely getting the education and changing their life. Transformation through education. And I can tell you, the education system is not broken, It is the fact that we were seriously fixated on ensuring that our teachers have the necessary certification to make up for the modification in salary classification. Because when I was young, my teacher did just a teach for years. She teach my granny, Miss Henry, my geography teacher. She taught my grandmother, my mother, and she taught me. And she knew everything on that map. And she never necessarily had to have a doctorate or a bachelor's or a master's. And the teaching certificate was enough. Now persons are more concerned about salaries, and so because of that, they don't educate. And because of that, the teachers aren't respected in the manner they're to be respected, and they also are in survival mode. So they have to be thinking about alternative ways to make money to survive. And that is why the education system has dwindled. Now, one of the things that I can tell you is that whilst teaching and tutoring and lecturing at the University of the West Indies, to walk around the court now and see my students as lawyers and to see how knowledgeable they are in criminal law and the Constitution, how they marry it, and how they're just going through the courts with all the confidence and championing rights. It is remarkable. So it says to me that people, to borrow from the words of the Prime Minister, you get what you pay for, but more so you get what you put in, and that is of utmost importance. Let me take this time signal through the 1 minute because it should have been done from 6 o'clock.
It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time to be living a lie. that's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. No, I heard them say life much better you live it your own way.
All right, let's welcome back to Context Matters. The date is November 21, 2024. If you're joining me on Reggae Global Radio, we are talking about education versus smoking. Aspire to pivot. These are words and acronyms that are coming together to spark and entice and enchant and excite the relevant bases, because we are in political mode with by-elections being held tomorrow. And the two hot ones to look at is the local government elections in Morant Bay and Town. That's somewhere in Clarendon. And let me tell you something. Oh, Northstar says spark and reach, beat and teach. Anyway, yeah, all of these nursery rhymes things, because again, people have to be catchy. And so, you know, being catchy doesn't necessarily mean that you have the aptitude to do what you need to do. But what I'm here to say is that education is important, because without it, your name would depend on a bulla. You don't know if you're for Nyamit or don't Nyamit, whatever the saying is. So, and it's not about reading, it's about comprehension. It's not about, and comprehension is about attaining critical thinking skills. Now, one would say, then why are acronyms are why is the acronyms important? And remember, we're talking about education, and I'll get back to the effects of marijuana on learning just in a bit. But something I thought about, because people make a big thing about it, and this is all about rhyming and trying to be flashy, so you can rile up the bass and make people feel like you're a part of the hip crowd. Like there's a constant conversation about how you're supposed to be. When you, if you're white and you speak Jamaican, it's a problem. If you're black and you speak proper English, it's a problem. So when it comes to the racial divide, it is a reality. But guess what? Acronyms. So people speaks about aspire. Well, this is aspire to economic development that includes the people. That is an admission that the people are not being included in the supposed economic growth that Nigel Clark jumped ship to get a better job, because of the realities that, well, guess what? US dollar high like I don't know what. But that acronym, I put some thought to it, because naturally, English literature, my thing. And when you are also a musician and you play instruments and you're an artist and all of that, guess what? You think about acronyms. So aspire. Here's what I think Jamaicans should aspire to. Always seek professional interpretation regarding the economy. So don't let people come and throw numbers at you. Get the professionals to tell you what really going on. Don't just take it lightly that somebody says this is the best finance minister, because remember, I will tell you this. I always split justice. Flavel, the lady who was a horrible education minister. In fact, She was so horrible that the education system fell apart, destroyed, um, irredeemable, if you ask me, without intervention from a Damian Crawford. Anyway, she was just placed in the wrong ministry. And so that went up. Same thing for the Ministry of Security. You have a doctor in there that's supposed to be doing surgeries and band-aids and looking at heart, trying to put band-aids on crime. The same Minister of Security that says, hey, you shoot and ask questions later, we will protect you. But lo and behold, they have officers, sons and daughters of Jamaica, who were incited. And incitement is a crime in and of itself. When you send a message out and you get knowing that persons will follow your command and go ahead and do the very thing that you incited them to do, you've committed the crime. But hear what? I warned them. I said, young men and women of the JCF, don't listen. Don't listen. Because when you get in trouble, you'll be thrown under the bus. And lo and behold, 2 officers are charged for murdering on video, on video, young men in the manner that they were incited to do. Kill and ask after. That's an instruction, from the top of the pole, the top of the hierarchy. And when they do it, they're left in the cold, put into interdiction, and the very people that incited to commit the crime that you have now committed, which is murder, allegedly, are saying that gang members are in the JCF for some 30 years and we're going to weed them out. You never know that they were in the JCF when you were calling state of emergencies that I had to challenge along with my bright attorneys and show you what the Constitution is made of? No, I'm just showing you. These are things that people have to be critical thinking about. Now, one must aspire to get quality education so that they can interpret nonsense when it's thrown at you. You must be in a position to challenge all of that. You must be in that position. And for those of you who are concerned about people's life, you can call me, and I will tell you. Because what you won't get is for me to come on here and give some people who are hungry for $500,000 my money. So this is not the medium for it. Let me just answer that. But anyway, aspire. The next thing is, once you aspire for better education, for a better life, aspire to escape poverty, because that is the reality. Yes? Once you aspire to that, you then must do what? In order to aspire, you must pivot. You must pivot. Yeah? So to aspire, you must pivot. So the people, as a people, and I can speak as Black people, we must pivot. And people must be in pivot means people inspired to vote out thieves. People inspired to vote out the thief them. Yeah, I'm saying it like that. And it's so ironic because unlike most advancing nations, yes, unlike that, here's what it is. You must be able to identify something for what it is. Yeah? So you must, people inspired to vote out the thieves. And then they have this thing called spark. Well, we must never suppress people's access to real knowledge. That is what spark means. Yes? Now, if it is that you understand this, you don't want dishonest people, which includes vote buying, voter fraud, which includes illicit enrichment, thieving public funds, all of these things. Those things don't go away. And ad hominem is not a band-aid or a smoke screen. There is a topic, a whole body of work called logic, where people use fallacies to detract from the real issues, the seminal issues. And I can address them, but there's no point in addressing them. Like, for instance, the B in my name, it stands for big. Yeah. But that's private. But if you want to know, it's big. So most people are intimidated. So they said you're overconfident. I have to be overconfident. I have no shortcomings because it's big. It's not a secret. It's big. So the next time somebody asks, yeah, it's big. That's what the B stands for, big. Yeah. Now, if you want to know more, jump out there. That's all. Anybody have an interest? I'm here for that. Now, we must move away from propaganda. We must move away from not dealing with the issues. You look at education for what it is. You look to see if persons are getting education. So let's look at Cuba, for instance, and I have to address this. If your father is a musician, doesn't stop you from being an attorney and a musician. Because if you're being educated, and I can tell you can speak to my father, he's very proud that I am a lawyer. And in fact, he has awarded me and awarded and rewarded me with going on tour with him anytime he wants. And I can grace the stage as I like and treat what is a career for many as a hobby for myself, as an escape to enjoy life and enjoy that. But the reality of it is this. So the same rule applies. You are a farmer. You can tell your children to go and be doctors and lawyers and still come dig up the yam and have your goat them and the chicken and the carrot them and the cane them and your brothers and sisters and your uncle and the family will help you reap what you sow. So it don't change or stop the fact that you can have multiple things. One time there was a show called In Living Color, and they said Caribbean people have 10 jobs. So you can be a lawyer, which I am. You can be a real estate agent, which I am. You can be a politician, which I am. You can be a singer. Yeah. You can be a personal trainer, which I am. You can mix cement and mix concrete and carry blocks, which I do. Nothing when it comes to income generation is beyond anybody. So this idea that people think that they're better than people because of education is misguided, which is why I said earlier, and I want people to understand, the Constitution and the Representations of Persons Act tells you that when it comes to representation, none of those things that are being talked about is a criteria. Yeah? And so, I saw Faye today. Was it today or yesterday? Big up Faye. The helper that I told you about, who I have the greatest respect for. And she made sure that her children was educated, and many helpers in this country made sure. You don't believe me? Take up the Star, the Observer, and the Gleaner. This was the month for it when you were graduate. The plethora, the troves of bright young Jamaicans who made their parents proud through education, and a mother who's selling the arcade, parental charge arcade where them bun down, is happy that her next generation has escaped poverty through education. And some of them will become the prosecutors and the defense attorneys and the doctors and the lawyers, and they will be happy. And all over the world, in countries that are impoverished, Black people are happy. And generations later, mother is a lawyer, father is a lawyer, all 5 picnic is also lawyers. But the president of the Court of Appeal have a plethora of attorneys, and she's an attorney and her husband is an attorney. Humble beginnings. I'm quoting her. Amazing what education can do and elevate you to the highest heights. And I'm talking about black people and I'm talking to poor people. This might not be the life for you because you're rich and you have friends and you can go on a plane and you can be caught with drugs and marijuana and you can do whatever you want and they can make they can make it go away because all of these things because your parents have status and whatever they can do. But not them say puss and dog now have the same luck. Yeah? And nepotism is for the selective few. But you see, I'm a son of Jamaica where I get a fight from start to finish. Even when you're doing everything right, you're gonna get a fight. And that's the story of many youths. I was just going through TikTok and a young man is on his live. Well, he's telling his story and it's part 1, part 2, part 3. So it's not live. And he was a correctional officer who had one bad day, a correction officer going to UTech, getting his education, and the system. And Lord Reed of the Privy Council, not REED, REID, he says in a case called Sweet and Parsley, we must never be in the business of turning ordinary citizens into criminals. And that's about strict liability, and that's about discretion of police officers, justice of the peace, and even judges. One of the things, and I can tell you, there is a thing called admonish and discharge. Judges have the power and the inherent jurisdiction to look at a human being. It has never been taken away from them and make the determination whether you're going to let persons have the scar of criminality. That is what is, it's in the public space now. When you look at how the media use the scar of criminality to look at a 17-year-old young man, juvenile at the time, or a 20-year-old university student, and call him drug dealer, drug smuggler, coke pusher, everything, and keep him in the criminality. Have never once, not once, as the Jamaican media, and I have to say it, not one, it has never been broadcasted on any of the media houses that Isaac Buchanan appeared before the Privy Council and spoke to the 5 lords at the Privy Council. Never. Might have heard from ER, as in entertainment, as a side issue to a famous artist, Vibes Cartel. But no, never has it. It is not significant that education has caused somebody to enter rehabilitation in a way that is remarkable in a society where people are discarded just from waking up and exiting a particular address and have never done wrong. These are things that is important. So when I see somebody trivialize education, I'm hurt by it because my life work is to ensure that young people are better versions of me, to ensure that you become the best version of yourself. So as I record this so that young people can watch it and get the motivation to know that sky is the limit when you have your education and nobody can stop you from getting the education that you want when you try. And she doesn't like when I do it, but one day I'm going to sit and have a complete 2 hours conversation with Alessandra Lebreach, who can tell you when me and her and nobody else say God and time, this is something that we have been saying from we were in law school together at the university at the West Indies. Let me say it like that. And I want people to appreciate that Many persons came from humble beginnings. Many persons entered the University of the West Indies, Mona, with not even a ramen noodle soup where I kill off people to go to the people them school, much less pay the school fee. But you see, when you want something, nothing is going to stop you. The God I serve will move heaven and earth. He will stop time and remove your enemies by the power that is God. In the visible and the invisible. From the east to the west, he will shake the earth for you. So when people speak with their pungent, poignant arm and filthy mouth and describe somebody as filth mouth, you know not what you do. You know not what you do, because you will never, ever, 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 ever deprive persons from what God have planned for them, even when you send out the wrong messages. Yeah? There's many other things I could say, but I don't need to be political because I'm speaking to the nation that is Jamaica and the diaspora. Anywhere you are Jamaican, you understand that as the gem of the Caribbean, how special we are and why we need to ensure that we come together and not be divided. Why the hopes and dreams of your children can never be divided. And as I sit in the court and I sit beside Alessandra Labiche in court, you can never understand the joy that it is to know that we, as sons and daughters of people who otherwise would be rejected from the elite of this society. In fact, one time our father went into the state of emergency and was treated like a criminal, and it broke our heart. Never forget it. Never forget it. And it's not until it reached to your doorstep that you understand what is going on. So it might not be now, and people might find it funny that people can just rub out them hand middle as school finish and go up on the corners after you put something in your head. Yeah? But one must understand that we all have different levels of tolerance. And there's a reason why I campaigned for years in America that says say no to drugs. This is why. Because as they keep you low so they can remain high, you have a duty to your community and yourself to ensure that you have a right to live just like the people that behaving like they're better than you. Because I can tell you, me, yeah, me no better than nobody. But make no mistake, nobody no better than me. Call me arrogant, call you whatever, but never, the God I serve has never caused me to beg, and has given me aptitude and ability beyond, and has moved heaven and earth for me to ensure that even as I'm talking to you, people see you on a platform and say, we are enough for depth on the platform. And God says, you will always have a platform. So you can't deprive me. And that is the type of example that has to be set. And let's talk about constitutional rights to privacy. Let's talk about how that has been ventilated. For instance, in the case of Issa, where they wanted her phone. She is a name brand, and the court had to respect her privacy. And people were upset that she never gave the password to her phone and her son. And she says, I'm not giving it because it's my privacy right. That type of privacy is afforded to every single citizen of this country. And anytime persons violate that privacy right horizontally, as in citizen to citizen, or human, from state to the human being. You have violated the Constitution, and all that you do thereafter is void to the extent that you have never existed. But they always say it and they use it like in social media. Men of straw, as in broke pocket people, are the nastiest set of people on the internet. You can't sue them because them don't even, the people they support, they're very sorry for them and give them a little NHT house or give them some of the money that them thief and make sure them life all right so you can sue them and take it from them. God, the law allows for that. But this is the type of education that people need to understand, that you cannot disenfranchise people. And if you know the abject poverty that is all around Jamaica, you would understand the conversation that I'm having right now. And it is in that vein that people would ask, how does smoking affect learning? Well, over time, smoking can impair cognitive functions such as information processing, memory, and concentration. Let me say that again. How does smoking affect learning? Well, over time, smoking can impair cognitive function such as information processing, memory, and concentration. Now, let's talk about children with ADD, who grow up and be adults and suffer from ADHD. And all of these things are important because guess what? There has never been a proper assessment because Jamal gone. Jamal gone. I can tell you, even secondhand smoke is hazardous to children. So you can be a big, big entertainer, big up yourself, big youth, and you're carrying your kids to school in the morning and you light your big head spliff and you smoke and the AC turn up. And when you drive them in the traffic that don't move, and when them reach school and them come out of the weed smoke and them in a class, high as them don't know. And teacher said read and them said, da, boy, walk, dong, da, road. And the teacher said, no man, this your picnic is slow. Carry him round at the guidance counselor. And the guidance counselor said, are you all right? I have a master's in child psychology and you're moving slow. It looks like your learning is impaired. I think you should get a little Ritalin because I'm an expert, I'm a guidance counselor and child psychologist and I have my doctorate. Get a little Ritalin and some Percocets for pep you up. And before you know it, pick it on idiot because proper assessment isn't made for external situations, like when kids misbehave and are victims of sexual assault in the home, not from the parents, but from the communities, from the area dons, from the cousins and the uncles and the aunts and everything. And nobody, as under the Child Care Protection Act, this is education. You have a duty to report these things. But no, we think that behavioral problems and we don't address the issues as they come. A young lady, 14, stab a young man. The young man looked like he had all the prospects to be something great and he lost his life. But we must think how we can rescue this girl. And with empathy and compassion, we cannot label her as a violence contributor and a miscreant who should be tried by the adult legislation because we don't know what she's been going through, and children live what they learn. Yes? So you have to know that if you want to be liberated from poverty, from lack of water, from lack of having toilets, from having roads that can lead to somewhere, from the ability to freedom of movement all across the world, And through education, you can get Rhodes Scholarship. You can enter any university in any language, and immigration can't tap you. And if you don't think education is important, Isaac Buchanan, go up on plane and walk into the countries, with convictions that is of so much importance and moral turpitude, because rehabilitation doesn't form a part of the system of governance currently through this administration. Not so in the past, certainly not under the PNP. So one must understand and educate themselves in law. So if you have a problem, you go and find out how to rid yourself of that problem. You see that? That is very important, because dependency will be the result. When you have an expensive habit like rum and boom and weed, you're gonna have to pay for it. Yes, you're going to. So again, information processing, memory loss, cognitive decline is what is a result of smoking. And if you're smoking cigarettes and you're mixing it, and you mix the weed with the tobacco, and it blacken up your lungs, and then you wonder how you have lung cancer, or you just chip out and dead before you reach 30, and your mag and dry up because you can't get proper nutrition, because you are having suppression of your system, and you defile the body. Now, most of you would take things out of context and and be judgmental. But all things done in excess can never be good. So even if you drink water and you drink too much water, it can throw off your electrolytes in your body. Sugar give you diabetes, salt give you hypertension, but without it you have a problem. Meat is important. Yes, sure. You can get a heart attack because it's constriction, oxygen. See, it robs the body of oxygen. And sometimes you see the eye them and you see the this anyway. We don't even have to talk. If nothing else, smoking causes stinking mouth. Can't be no more disgusting than that. That in of itself should be a cause for you not to want to do that. But then again, remember, some people have hygiene problems, and so they run around and they don't have a problem being green. So stink mouth is one of the side effects. And then cognitive decline. And then when persons are articulating, they need to look at papers and then they misquote and then sound like they're not, then they like them come off of the back of one wagon. But that this is so important, because the messaging will always be important. And there's nobody, no university can come and interpret nonsense. So they say heavy is the head that wears a crown, because while it is when you have intellectual capacity, persons with inferior capacity can misinterpret what you're saying, misunderstand satire, don't understand the ability to use the literary tools of literature. And I've named them before: hyperbole, personification, metaphors and simile, and even rhyme and reason, and cannot distinguish in between quotation, because they lack aptitude. That can only happen when your intellectual capacity is superior to those who are put to judge you. But when you're just a big dummy and you put out the wrong messaging, even the biggest professor is incapable of saying, but this is what you meant. Not when you are speaking to the future of the country. There can be no excuse. None. And that is of utmost importance. So it is my duty, and I'm constrained to say, that I must implore young people, must implore them, yes, to, like Bounty Killer say, book, uno pressure uno book, pressure your book, because it will be your only escape from poverty. And there will be people that will tell you that, no, man, the prosperity is here and the economic development is here and we have a division, just hold it. That was the concept of the Platonic society. And in the teachings of Plato's Republic, they said we are all of the same metal, but some of us are silver and gold, platinum, titanium, and vibranium, and some of you are from wood, and some of you are bush. And it is those of you who are bush and wood must continue. Those who are the bush must be the carpenters. Those who deal with the wood must always be the masons and the laymen and the cobblers and the shoemakers. But those who are of superior blood, only they should be and should enter the law schools and the law society. And those with the curly hair and the light skin should only be the persons who are able to speak in the presence of our superior masters in the other country as we keep our superior court. Because if you dare do that, you would have breached the right. Because what is a man who can be proud when his sons and daughters stand in the presence of great men and women? Who wouldn't be proud of that? And also, who would never be proud if it is that you are a helper and your son becomes a lawyer? You sell in the market and your son become a doctor. Yeah? You as a farmer and your daughter become a pilot and her sister astronaut and her other sister brain surgeon. And even though your other son smoke weed, him become a lawyer too. Who wouldn't love that? Who don't want that bragging rights? And I on the campaign trail, I nothing more satisfying when a woman say, "Hey, come meet my daughter. She there at law school and you used to teach her." Or me, there is a man, Mr. Thomas Thompson. I know you're watching, you know. He's a justice of the peace and him work for the irrigation company. And the people them where him work with, see them pick me worthless like I don't know what. But this man have must have 5 son or 10 son, and all of them are doctor, lawyer, engineer, everything. And him keep him work. And when them bright himself, him say, go worry about your picnic them when now come out to nothing. And him cuss them. And they try put him on interdiction. Them try talk about disobedience, all kind of thing. And him say, I work because I want to help the people and I'm a justice of the peace. I'm here. Don't bright yourself. And his sons and daughters says, stop working, daddy. But where else him would I get for God and for tell the people them who are managers and this and self-sufficient that them picking them worthless and can't, and him said, do this and beat me. Do this and beat me. And that is what hurt them. Because silver and gold will vanish away. But you see, when you get your education and you get your money, it rub out all of this thing where them is elite. It robbed them out, broke them up, shatter them. That is what education is about. That is the importance of education. Not gonna stop saying it. And I like when the educated people come and them proud of them education and them would tell you, don't pass your place. Because you know more than me. Yeah? Because a good education, say it again, will never decay. And so I'm going to implore you, go study your book, whether you're in school, out of school. 5 years is not as long as you think when you're in high school. 5 years to get a profession goes by so fast. That's why they say, that's why I say it. That's why Alexis say it. That's why John say it. That's why Iqbal say it. And you know, as me call them name, me think me are the brownest out of the wall of them, black people were brighter than the mulattoes, brighter than the other people who think say them white. Yeah, black people. I can pick up the phone and call them and say, help me with this case because I think that this is a technical point and only you guys can do it because your melanin is what making sure that your cognitive decadence is not declining and your information processing and memory is superior. Yeah, things like that. Yeah. And yeah, I agree. I see you, sure. Jamal. We must bring back Jamal. We must make assessments and we must ensure that equality for access to education is present. The equitable aspect of it. So persons, young people with behavioral issues can be assessed properly. And especially the youth, young people are marginalized because either obviously smoking is an indication that something is wrong. People, same thing for drinking. Alcohol abuse is an indication that people are fighting demons. And when it is that those who are put in places of authority and become role models are substance abusers, it can be very problematic. And so they're notwithstanding, and don't get me wrong, recreational, what people do as adults with their life, they have the freedom to do it. How we protect and insulate the young is of a different thing. And when I say protect and insulate, I'm not talking about majoring in the minor to say that you're sending home picnic because them don't cut them hair properly and them not properly groomed to the standard of the European position, but rather to ensure that they're not rubbing out their hand middles and they're not smoking and they're not drinking and they're not become slave to addiction. So any conversation about accepting drug use is leading persons to become addicts over time and causing cognitive decline. And there is enough research to speak about the effects of THC and all the things that CD that comes in the marijuana and all of that. And I don't need to talk about the other drugs. And we should be having conversation about identifying young people who are addicted to drugs so that they can go into drug school and rehabilitation. One of the greatest humans to walk this earth. I speak of her all the time, Amy Winehouse. God made her an angel. Can speak of Whitney Houston too, but the Amy Winehouse, boy, that one was very, 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 very unfortunate. And I speak of her because God blessed her with unmatched talent. Somehow, if we had that talent, we would be so all right. And those who have talent and can drink and smoke their life away, God bless them with that. We can't watch that. We're speaking about the persons who have not found their talent, who are finding their way in life, should not become a victim to drug use at any level, whether it be decriminalized marijuana, whether it be cocaine, whether it be heroin, whether it be Percocet, whether it be whatever, Molly, all of these things that they say that is available to the young to throw them off their way. And then we don't understand, there I cannot believe as I'm speaking to you that just in a couple of weeks, I will be whole heap of years at the bar. But it would have mean that the years I was speaking about law school, the time went by so fast, which means that 5 years go away so fast. And double that to practice for 5 years and practice for 10 years, you realize how long you're doing what you're doing in a profession. but also it means that many other persons, that those 5-year plans and setting goals for yourself. And when you reach a particular age, you tend to realize that young people who think that they can set 10-year goals. If you're 20, when you set a 10-year goal, you'll be 30. And if you set another 10-year goal, you'll be 40. It means that you only have 2 5-year goals to set before you're 50. Because when you're 50, everything's shifty. And you find yourself thrifty. And if you're a woman or man, everything drop. And youthful exuberance is wasted on the youth. And so we have to tell you young people from now. Keisha said, really no. Go ahead, Keisha, block me. We need to tell young people from now that they should make the best use of their time. And for those of you who left high school this year and you didn't get the subjects, one a year, just one a year in your time can give you 5 subjects. And then you get into UE. And then you matriculate. And then you still can turn doctor. You still can turn lawyer. You still can do everything. You need to get into UE. Never ever worry about how it's going to be paid. There are bursaries and scholarships and churches and charity. This world is run on charity. As a country of beggars, Jamaica is run on charity, and Jamaica is run on the backs of the people, supported heavily by the diaspora. I have to share this because this is the type of education and conversations that we need to have. We need to constantly have these conversations so that we are not misguided. And yes, Catherine Daly says, sky is the limit. And if you go in a plane and you go up there, sometimes the plane flies so high, you can see in a space, it feel that way. And you come to understand that the world is so much bigger, and you come to understand that the opportunities are endless going into the world. And that is certainly the vision that I have for young people, to want to go out into the world so that they can come back to Jamaica and contribute meaningful. It's not everybody, it's not Operation Runway. So you want to say, oh, we're going to get you a degree and then we have to ban you for 5 years, or put you on a ban and lock you down for 5 years, and then get through the Mutual Systems Agreements Act. Our partners is going to find the people that take student loan and run off because we have to collect back with money. The government should be so happy that when they're educated, is money well spent, especially if you get the liquor degree. I'm not supporting slackness, but the last time I checked, your prime minister was in the papers as being delinquent. Him never paying student loan. And lo and behold, sitting in the driver's seat, him never find it necessary for say, you know something? Operation Reset Sunset legislation. Let's just free up some of these people and allow them with the student loan. But no, because of self-interest, we don't try to ensure that free education goes all the way to the tertiary level, and that you have a system in place that where persons getting A's and graduating with first class honors, they shouldn't have to. They should be rewarded, and student loan cancelled. Yeah, so when the debt remains high and all of this economic gymnastics that to bring down the GDP and investing to make sure that we advance and we pay down this and pay down that, and the interest is still higher than it was when you went on that frolic. Yes, Dr. Nigel Clark, that's what happened. And so nothing changed for the citizens of this country, and the dollar gone high. And you don't think that education being the great divider is not something that we can contribute to our citizens? No, because we're too busy worrying about some insurance scheme that we can get money from for a select few. But anyway, if maybe I have it wrong, maybe nobody's not feeling the strain, and maybe nobody is suffering, and I'm making these things up, and maybe nobody needs to be educated. But the next time somebody comes on any of this live and say, I am arrogant because I'm proud to be an educated black man, remember, you too, even right now, if you're offended by me speaking proudly about being educated, speaking proudly of being able to stand in the presence of educated judges and whether they're white and other races other than black, and have respected the submissions and proven myself as a competent attorney. Just remember, you can do it too. And it's not too late to go on a school and go pressure your book like Bounty Killer say. Yeah? And anybody challenge me. I don't care what you want to say. It's so hard out there, and so many things from health to basic facilities in life, such as running water and toilet. And some people have them big house that them work hard for as farmers and as people who are educated, and them get disrespected talking about parochial roads and road never turn over to parish council and all of the red tape bureaucracy that prevented people from enjoying any economical gains. And let me tell you something, all the people that leaving from India and China and all of the places in droves are a tale-telling signs, or a telling sign that this country can offer you the greatest amount of wealth. And the issue is about access to information. And the information, even when you know how to get it, there's no tribunal to appeal to when you ask them for information. So you as a citizen cannot get the information to better your life. And yes, those of you who need to take a shower, if you need assistance again with the toiletries, sanitary products, you can send a message so that we can fix that problem, because I have observed for the last 2 hours the persons who are crying about taking a shower. And we do know that across Jamaica there is a water problem, and that explains why persons constantly come on my live expressing to me and putting in context that they need a shower. But blessings all. Context matters. This has been very entertaining. For those of you who are on Reggae Global Radio, thanks for listening. Thanks for the overwhelming support. And yes, to the people of Portland, the tablets are coming. The tablets are coming. And no, we are talking about electronic devices. They are coming. Shout out to the diaspora and all the people who have been sending these tablets to ensure that they're accumulating. Because Christmas will come and everybody want to go up on YouTube so them can go on Context Matters and go up on YouTube and watch fireworks. There's a big thing, big fireworks in Portland. Don't watch the hype, but a fireworks. Yeah. Anyway, let's leave it at that for now. Remember, silver and gold will vanish away, but a good education will never decay. And when everything else stink, just make sure you get Starlink. Cause the internet, they shot. Anyway. Money gone. Anyway, so big up on yourself. And yeah, to the people of Jamaica, remember, tomorrow is your time to send a strong message. A strong message tomorrow. Yes? And when them say one that under your nose is Rose, so you put your X for Rose. Put your X beside the head for Rose in Morant Bay. And put your X in Anon Town. When I have to say it, Rasta make the world go round. And who run the world? Girls are true. So anyway, don't ever forget that. Voting is your constitutional right. Many persons would have fought for it. There was a time when Paul Bogle and George William Gordon especially George William Gordon, he had to issue land so black people could end up on the voting list. And you know what they did? They hang him. So when you get someone saying, oh, me now, I thought I told you that the tablets are coming. Listen, in these days you can't just sing anything, you know. But sometimes I know just why you sing and who sing it. Yeah. So I don't care what nobody wants to say. You ain't gonna get it don't get no greater than Vibes Cartel on the music tip. Yeah. So anyway, you know, those who do law, not everybody can do law, and those who do music, not everybody could do music. So wherever your gifts are, find it. And if you have it in more than one places, you make sure say you do it. Yeah, so I'm leaving it at there. This was Context Matters for November 21. And I will say it one more time. Silver and gold will vanish away, but a good education will never decay. Never bad mind somebody for their education. It's a very hard feat to overcome. And when you walk across the stage at the tertiary level, it changes you. It's called the UifiCation of a black man when you go to UE. And for those of you who go to other universities, you know how you feel and you know what them calling you. And it's at that time of the hour. If you don't bathe, go and take a shower. I'm out.
It took some time to understand, yeah, just what it takes to be a man. Now it seems each day you learn something to make a better way. Growing up ain't just a phase, it's reality. And sometimes it's hard to face the world with your head screwed on. But in time you will see it comes naturally, like the hurt and the pain. It's a part of the game. It's all a part of life, to laugh and to cry. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it stride. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it stride. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. You know I heard them say life much better you live it your own way. But if you need a helping hand, just call on me, I will be your friend. And when it gets hard to face the world with your head screwed on, just tell yourself you can. And that's when you'll understand that the hurt and the pain, it's a part of the game. It's all a part of life, to laugh and to cry. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. You gotta keep on moving on. Don't let no one stand in your way. Gotta keep on pressing on. As we pray for better days, keep it moving. Moving to the next. When they try to bring you down, we gotta take it. Take it to the next level when they come around. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. Just keep your head up, yeah. Just keep your head up, yeah. Gotta keep your head up, yeah. 'Cause everything's gonna be alright. Keep your head up. Keep your head up. Keep your head up. 'Cause everything's gonna be alright. 'Cause everything's gonna be alright.